Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. We are coming to you from the Ochsner Podcast Studio, the Andrews Institute. They just added great renowned surgeon James Andrews to their roster, so they got that. So if you have any sports-related issues, they are the place to be. Make sure you go check them out, and they're the best hospital and medical network you can find. So hit them up for all of your medical needs. And we're coming to you from Veterans Memorial Boulevard, right next door to Matt Bauer's Ford dealership. Make sure you come by here and check him out. Check out the cars, the great array of Broncos. The Broncos are a great one. But anything you need, they have, and they have the best prices, the best customer care. And Bowers has all kinds of dealerships all throughout the region. So check him out. Any type of car you want, he can take care of you, and you will always get that great customer service and that great pricing. It's week one, man. It's Wednesday. We're going to keep rolling here, get you guys set up for this weekend's game against the Carolina Panthers. We're going to talk about who the X-Factor is on offense and so much more. So stick with us after this quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute is a regional leader in orthopedic and sports medicine innovation and treatment, caring for both our active community and the New Orleans Saints. To learn more, visit ochsner.org/sportsmed. Long live you. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out.
Score big with Saints Score. Win up to $100,000. Enter the second chance drawings for cool Saints prize packages. Play Saints Score scratch-offs from the lottery.
NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome into the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. I'm Brandon Thomas, joined by Mike Triplett and Nick Underhill. Let's get into our first segment presented by Aaron Rose. Nick, you got a chance to speak with Alvin Kamara the other day after practice. You can read the full article in NewOrleans.Football. Be sure to subscribe because that's where all the good stuff is. But is Alvin Kamara the X-Factor of this offense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he's kind of the engine that kind of makes the whole thing go. I think the whole thing is predicated and built around the running game. That's everything's played off of it. You run the ball well, you can play action better. That's a little bit of a fallacy to a degree. There's a lot of studies that show that you can be running the ball ineffectively and still play action well. But I think there's something psychologically, there's an advantage. If you're running the ball, that stuff's going to work a little bit better. There's a creativity to it. And this offense wants to be something that can make a lot of different things look the same, put guys on the field, move them into different places to create different mismatches. You look at how San Francisco operates. You look at how Houston operates. They like their chess pieces. And he was early in his career the ultimate chess piece. He was somebody that moved around, did a lot of different things. And then all of a sudden, 18, he's one thing. And then 19, it's something else. And then 20, it's much more something else. And then 21, it's much more something else. And then 22, 23, he's basically like Derrick Henry. And that's just not the best use of him. So I think he's somebody that's going to be used in a lot of different ways. And yeah, I think he is the guy that kind of makes it all go. If you want to hide your poor ability to block, if you can run the ball well and play action well, that helps with it. He's the guy to do that because Kendray's on the shelf right now. So I think that him and his ability to make things work, I think it's the most important thing on this offense. And I think if he's ineffective and all that stuff doesn't work, I think a lot of it kind of crumbles a little bit. So I think there is a lot riding on him right now. And I don't think that's a stretch to say. You look at this offense across the league, the best player in the NFL is that version of him in San Francisco because of the creativity with them. And that's not to say McCaffrey wasn't supercharged in Carolina, but like he is on a whole different level now with that vision and that thought process. And I'm not saying Alvin's going to be McCaffrey, but I think a lot of the stuff that McCaffrey does, he's going to be able to do, and it's going to be able to take him to the next level.
It's funny, I saw this question in the script today, and my gut instinct was I wanted to say no, because if you said, hey, let's all name the X Factor for this season, I think of an X Factor as sometimes an unknown commodity, like, oh, the young guy is A.T. Perry and X Factor, that kind of thing. But Alvin is sort of an unknown commodity in some ways. If they're going to get this, if they're going to get the same Alvin who's been dipping below 3.7 yards per carry, it's been sort of an ineffective usage of him. He wouldn't be an X Factor. If they are like, we're going to resurrect Alvin Kamara, we're going to not run him into the middle of the line like Derrick Henry. When I did my fantasy projections, I kept bumping it up. I kept being like, I don't think they're going to make him take those stupid carries anymore. I think they're going to use effective carries. So I bumped it up to 4.1 yards per carry and considered 4.2 yards per carry. I also think they're going to use him more effectively as a receiver. It's just a creative offensive staff that has looked at guys like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara, and they're like, this is how they should be used. And yeah, if Alvin is going to be used more smarter, he absolutely my projections that I came to is if he played 17 games, I picked him to miss some games. He's missed some games a lot in recent years here and there, but I had him on pace for 1,000 yards and over 75 catches if he played 17 games, and then I divided that by 14. But especially with Jamal Williams and Kendra Miller not fighting to take those snaps away behind him, as Alvin goes, this offense could go. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a realistic thing here to where, obviously you're not turning back the clock on him, but at the same time, we don't have to act like he was like a cast member of Las Vegas, like he can still be a good, effective player. And I think that can help. I think just using him in better ways, even if he's just, exactly the same as last year and how he carries the ball. If you allow him more space, you allow him more creativity, there's just an efficiency standard that kind of bumps up there. So I think there's still that ability for him to be really good. And I think
I'm looking forward to seeing how they use him.
Yeah,
sure.
if you can make him the identity of your offense, if you tell me by the end of the year Alvin has become, and he always kind of has been, but if he's really become like the identity of the offense, I think they're a much, much better team.
Who can name actors from Las Vegas? You got any?
It was De Niro.
I was going to guess Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman's in there. Yeah, it's just one of the movies where it's like.
All right, who else? Alan Arkin?
I don't know.
TV shows are my thing, not movies. I'm
I don't know.
out on that one.
I don't know. But I know it was one of the movies. It was like, you know, famous old guys all go yeah.
Space Cowboys was another one.
Like Brady for 80 was another one. Like
Jane Fonda.
Yeah. Like that's like, you know, I don't think we have to talk about Alvin like he's in that realm. Like he's an older player, but I think he's still highly effective. He's 60-year-old Tom Cruise, still, you know, can still do an action movie. Like I think that's more where he's at.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. Mission Impossible. It's his 8th season. Mission Impossible 8 with Alvin Kamara this year. Let's go.
And Tom's just getting crazy. You see him at the end of the Olympics? Like, what the hell was that?
Man is always on. That's a great comp though, because this is like having a new director who has visions like, well, you might be not able to run like 2 miles flat with the camera following you, but we can make this action scene look really good by having you jump off of this roof.
I think Tom's doing more and more, man. This dude, I mean.
I like it.
Yeah, the man is intense.
I like it until like, you know, but he doesn't have to die for our entertainment. Like, just be safe.
No,
like,
I like the comp. I like the comp. I like the idea of year 8 Alvin doing things that you know that we haven't seen in a little while. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. That'll roll into our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Kind of speaking on the future of this team, Trent Williams, the 49ers left tackle, got paid yesterday, $80 million plus deal. Now, of course, Trent Williams' level of offensive tackle is rare. It's rare to get to that point to have that skill set. But do you think the Saints will ever sign an offensive lineman of that caliber?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, we don't know what the next iteration of this team's going to be. I've said it a million times, whether they're going to rebuild or whether they're going to keep it together. They're going to have to draft better. They're going to have to get younger. And eventually, they don't have anyone on their team right now, barring like Chris Olave, maybe Chase Young, maybe Paulson Adebo, that they're going to sign to expensive contracts. So, you know, at some point, maybe after a rebuild, they're going to get to the point where they have a little money to spend and they have missing pieces to fill in. They could be like the Dolphins adding Teron Armstead. I mean, like they added Chase Young this year. That could have been an offensive tackle instead. So I don't think it's something that they're just diametrically opposed to doing. For a long time, they drafted well at that position. Yeah. They didn't have to fill that gap in free agency. But this is a team that has always been willing to fill the gaps in free agency. Offensive line has become one of the biggest gaps. I don't necessarily see them doing it currently because they're saving a little money right now, but 2 years from now, if they finally draft a couple key pieces and they need one more, sure, they could pay for it.
I'm going to say no because they don't become available. You don't
That's fair.
You don't get Trent Williams. Like, Teron, great player, incredibly talented. I don't think they're getting Trent Williams value out of him. 10 games, 13 games over the last 2 years.
And that's why he became available.
And then even like in the 13, some of them are on an unhealthy 13. Like Trent's been pretty available. He doesn't play every game, but he's been pretty available as far as first impression thinking back on it. Like it seems like he's typically out there, all pro the last 3 years. They just don't. These guys don't hit the market. They don't. And totally if you're paying $80 million for a guy on free agency, you're probably getting 65% of what Trent Williams is worth because you have to pay him to come to your team and you're taking him from somewhere else. And if they hit the market, it's because that team doesn't see him as a foundational piece. Like just the list of available guys that are going to be there next year, like Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, both pretty good players, not Trent Williams, both 36 years old or something like that, 33, 34, 35. Garrett Bowles, another older guy. Alaric Jackson, great 4-year starter, not really a great player though. So you don't have that opportunity very often. But if a Trent Williams was available, I think the possibility is definitely there for them to sell out and go and try and get him with full force. I don't see it being there. You have to draft them. You really do. And their ability to draft these guys, I think there's a good chance they got a hit with Fuaga. I like this draft. This is probably the draft that I've liked the most of theirs immediately after in a long time. They have to draft much, much, much better than they have to find their way out of this. And it starts with those tackle spots.
No, absolutely. Finding the answer through free agency, very, very difficult. Nick made an excellent point. My answer was more just I don't think they're like diametrically opposed. I don't think they have a philosophy. We'll never sign a free agent offensive line. But I'll tell you one team that did decide to just spend to fix their offensive line and overspend with the best they could get, the week 1 opponent, the Carolina Panthers. They spent 5 years, $100 million on guard Robert Hunt. and 4 years, $53 million on guard Damian Lewis this year to try to make it work in front of Bryce Young. They spent all their money on the best offensive lineman they could get, but those weren't like all pros, Pro Bowler. None of them were Trent Williams. You're absolutely right. Very hard to find that type of guy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if Fuaga can grow into that player. You know, it starts now. It starts week 1 to see kind of the trajectory that his career is going to go. But now it's time for our next segment presented by Urban South. The Saints, they released their depth chart yesterday. No real surprises. Some things kind of stood out. What stood out most to y'all?
Taysom moving to tight end was a big one. I think that's something that stands out right away. That's where he. Well, it's not really.
I still might be wrong.
It's really not where he should be. I think he's still a fullback, but list him at tight end, whatever. That's fine. He's gonna get tight end snaps. He's gonna get fullback snaps. He's gonna get running back snaps. Yeah. So it just kind of is what it is.
You gotta pick some position for him.
Let me ask you, man. Were any of you guys outraged over the Carl Granderson or Chase Young?
No,
not really.
First of all, you buried the question.
Well, no, I didn't.
Outrage, no. Oh, I see what you're doing. No, because I was going to say defensive end is a position where it depends what down it is. I mean, frankly, Cameron Jordan should have the or on him because if it's a rushing down, it's probably Jordan and Granderson. If it's a passing down, it's probably Young and Granderson. But please continue your setup. Outraged over no, nobody was outraged over that or Nick.
Yeah, I don't even think it got tweeted. But yeah, I mean, obviously Jake Hanner or Spencer Rattler. That's the thing that kind of carries on here. I just, I reached out to a bunch of people yesterday that I respect, and I've seen they're against it, and I heard some compelling arguments. I just can't get there, and I'm reluctant to say this, but it does feel a little bit like just one of them things where. No matter what DA does here, like it's just if you're frustrated with him, you're gonna remain frustrated with him over this, and it's just another thing. If you're winning 11 games and you're coming into a season, then you're like, I'm gonna make the two guys battle it out. Everybody's like, yeah, he's it's fine. It's just one of them perception things. In the end, if it all works out, no one's gonna care. But I think it's just one of them things. If you're frustrated, you're gonna remain frustrated. If you have an open mind about what's possible, you're going to just kind of look at it and be like, whatever. You can be open-minded and frustrated at the same time. I don't think those have to be mutually exclusive, but I think it's just one of them things where it's like, if you're fed up with things, it's just another thing to be fed up about.
A couple of thoughts. I've said on the Hainer Rattler thing, and I believe this, I think it's more about people hoping that Spencer Rattler is close to competing for the starting job. And if he's not being anointed as the number 2 now, then I think people want to see Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler, frankly. So I don't think they like the idea that anything might stunt Spencer Rattler's path toward quickly becoming QB1.
I don't think it's any secret that I'm someone that thinks Rattler has a lot of upside, a lot of potential, a lot of ability to develop. I think that there's the day after he got drafted, I wrote a story saying I think he has a chance to be a starter in the NFL. I only believe that more now after seeing more. So, I mean, there's no doubt about that. We're recording this on Wednesday morning before we go out to see practice, before we see any practices this week. I don't think they're going to tip their hand in the 20-minute window we're out there. But I will say, like, my prediction. I think Rattler. My guess is he's going to end up being QB2. I think that's where it's going to end up. That's my guess. I guess my reaction to the whole thing could change if he's QB3. But I just don't. I don't find it to be something to be mad about. Even if he is 3, it just feels like okay, he's 3 for that week. Next week, if Derek Carr's out, maybe they go a different direction. Maybe they don't. Like. Just as long as you're developing him is really.
I like that they're developing both, though. I mean, especially if they chose Hainer as 2, everybody would really want them to spend time developing 3. But it's all about people wanting to see Rattler, and I get it. He injected excitement into the position.
Rattler. Yeah, I want to see Rattler going. I want to know what he could do. Like there's that thing with him where it kind of feels like if he goes into a game, like is he. Yeah. Is it going to be amazing? Like, it probably wouldn't be because that's a losing situation for everybody kind of getting thrown into a game. But maybe.
Shot in the arm,
and I really think that's what the thing's about. And if everyone just said that instead of being like, I hate this. No, just be like, if he goes in, I want to see if he can steal the job. I'd be like, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, like, I understand that.
I think that's what it all stems from. That's what it all stems from. 2 other things. Taysom Hill being put at tight end. I mean, I tweeted about this yesterday. has very real implications for fantasy football. I know at least one site, they reached out to me and they asked who they could contact at the Saints to make sure it was an official change. He's being changed to a tight end on one major fantasy site today because the Saints finally changed him. But I agree. Like we list him as fullback when we do like our 53-man roster projections.
Yeah.
He does still work out with the tight ends in practice, though. He shifts between groups. So
They're one. They're almost. They're
like 50-50.
cousin. They're adjacent.
and then
First cousin, second cousin, play cousin. What we
Look, I
talking
don't.
about?
If we're playing fantasy, I want to be able to put Taysom at tight end. I'm not putting him in a running back spot, but
Yeah,
for
exactly.
a tight end, I'm
Exactly.
putting him at tight end.
Exactly.
I draft him
Good
at
points,
So
tight
that's
end
the best
yesterday.
fantasy cheat code out there.
Yeah.
Two other things we didn't really discuss yesterday. They listed Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill both as starting tight ends and Juwan Johnson as a backup. Part of that is because Johnson missed all of the preseason with an injury, but still, that's one of those sending a message, light a fire, like you haven't earned this yet with this offense. So it's kind of interesting that they put two tight ends on the first team and Johnson's not one of them. I think he is continuing to be challenged. And then they listed Jordan Howden without an or at safety, which like I said, I think is interesting. That was an open competition all summer. That could be clerical. I don't know that automatically guarantees that Jordan Howden has won a job, and that's a declaration.
I don't think he has. I kind of was thinking it was going to be out, and I feel like Will Harris is going to be the starter there. I don't know. It's just kind of, I don't know.
They're missing an or.
I don't know. Like if it was Howden's job, it would have been Howden's job. I don't think he won it. I don't know. I can't get my head around it.
I mean,
don't
there
think he
was
won
never
it.
a practice for 5 weeks where it ever looked like he had moved ahead in that competition.
On Monday, like I was like,
strictly him.
yeah, it's going to be him, and then I just keep thinking about it, and it's like, I don't know. If it was him, it'd be him. Like it was. There was kind of the competition at tackle the whole time, and Penning kind of seemed to take that wire to wire. So I don't know. I thought it was going to be, I've flip-flopped on it. I kind of think Penning's going to start and Harris is going to start. I'm riding with that until Sunday. That's my guess. It's Wednesday morning. We have not seen anything. We don't know anything yet.
Look at him over here. He's doing his best Brandon Thomas imitation, just stealing all my takes.
I don't know. I think it's going to be. No, nobody here has mentioned Will Harris. Like
there was a specific Jordan Howden talking point yesterday where I said I don't think he's a full-time starter.
Well, full-time starter, but I think Will Harris is going to be the full-time starter.
He's putting a name to it.
All right.
I think he's going to be
Look at you taking his side.
I'm
again.
not. Well.
No,
roll the tape coming out of the break. I said I don't think Jordan Howden's going to play the whole time, and you're like, yes, he is. Of course he is.
I said Howden. He said Howden, but now he's.
I waffled on Howden.
You
first.
named
That's all
every
I'm
player on the team.
Yeah,
I'm naming one.
Right,
I'm not taking
fair
anybody's take here.
Yeah, whatever. I also picked Penning. I was the only one to pick.
I think that's still up in the air, but like it kind of feels like he went wire to wire with it. And
what about Matthew Hayball? Is that in jeopardy after they worked out punters? You think they didn't?
No, they didn't sign anybody.
No, I think he's A-OK.
He's our week 1 starter at punter.
Yeah, I think we could all say that. That'll do it for this A block. We appreciate y'all for coming in here today. Stick around because we have more stacked up in this show. Catch you later.
It's dark enough.
Yeah,
like,
it's
that
dark
they're going to think when we play this at 7 o'clock tonight.
This is
that
live. Yeah.
You are at Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Score big with kickoff combos at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Comes with fried shrimp and your choice of soft-shell crab traditional or our famous thin-fried catfish, all served with garlic herb fries, starting at only $10.99. Only at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails. Wall-to-wall, state-of-the-art TVs mean you'll see every touchdown, Hail Mary, and big turnover in crystal clear HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino in Baton Rouge, where every moment is a win.
Welcome back to the Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio. It is now time for
You're still here. Because you were signing off at the last break.
I said the top of the block.
You started to get up and leave. You were done. Hey,
Brandon's back, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I want to point out.
Back, baby.
I want to point out that over the last couple months, Oxner has partnered with Dr. James Andrew and NewOrleans.Football. I mean, they're just making moves left and right.
They are.
Big moves.
They're aiming for the top shelf in every area.
Yeah, shout out. Now it's time for our next segment presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Mike, you reported yesterday that Taysom Hill has been added to the list of team captains. That list consisting of, a lot of different players that have already been there, even from last year. But what do we make of Taysom being added to that group and that group overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes with this overall theme of Taysom weirdly becoming more central to the team. I mean, like we said, Clint Kubiak flew out there to visit with him early in the offseason. Taysom came for all of OTAs, all of minicamp. He's one of their top tailbacks. He's their top fullback, one of their top fullbacks, one of their top tight ends. He feels more in focus instead of just a sideshow to this team, and he's embraced that. He like his buy-in feels higher than ever right now too.
He'd be second on my list of that, the first segment X-Factor conversation, because those are the two guys that I feel like they're gonna kind of build the identity of the offense around. Even if they aren't the most yard gathering players, they're going to be the guys that allow you that flexibility to create situations for other people to succeed. I think him being central to it, like it required just immense buy-in, and I don't want to say this in a way that suggests that didn't exist before, but I think it exists more now from him.
Fair.
There were times where we would talk to him and he'd be like, I don't know what my role is. Nobody told me what it is. I just show up and do what they tell me to do. I get the playbook or whatever, the list of plays every week, and I don't know, whatever they call, I just go out there and do. And this year it's kind of more like, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. I know why we're doing it. I'm going to show up for minicamp. I'm going to show up for OTAs. I'm going to be there for every single thing. I'm going to work out and be around, and I'm going to be a leader. And I think his teammates recognize that. The only guy that wasn't on that list that I was surprised at, like Foster, has kind of been really, really vocal the whole. If you're out there watching, it seems like he's one of the guys like stirring that drink a little bit, and he wasn't on the list, which that's fine. But I think Eric
McCoy. They have a lot of a lot of captains.
He's if it was like the Pro Bowl alternates, like if someone dropped out, I think Foster would be the next one in. But yeah, I think it's good that Taysom's there. It represents something that I think is needed, and I think it represents just the cohesion of the plan, I think, just actually coming together for him specifically. And I don't know that cohesion has ever existed since the transition post, okay, you're not going to be a quarterback. I don't know if it was ever tight enough for it to kind of be, a thing. And I think it is a thing now.
Yeah. I mean, Taysom he's a key piece on this team, and making him a captain is showing that, okay, this is a person with immense buy-in across the board. All you guys under him just watch and see how he does things. Wherever we tell him to go, he goes. And that you can't lose like that.
He's the leader of the fullback / running back / quarterback / tight end / special teams room.
Let's roll into our next segment presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Marcus Mosher at the 33rd team, he released his first edition of the NFL Power Rankings, and the Saints, they were at the bottom of the list, that bottom tier sandwiched between the Tennessee Titans and the Washington Commanders. What do the Saints need to do to be held in higher regard nationally?
You picked Marcus. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, they go in what do they need? They need to do. I mean,
win.
They're going into week 1 0-6. Is anybody else? I don't know. Like that's the way everybody talks about them. So I don't know. Maybe start the season 0-0. Like I don't know. Like none of this means anything right now. But yeah, win games.
You picked Marcus. Yesterday was the day for power rankings. I saw Fox Sports had them even lower. I think 28th. I think Pro Football Talk had them 24th. I know I was listening to the Bill Simmons Over Under podcast where he's they're his favorite bet to not only go under their 7.5 wins, but he wants to like bump them to be like under 5.5 wins. And I just think the people that do this, there's some people who do really smart analysis, team by team, really know the ins and outs. They're naming the Trevor Penning versus Oli Udoh competition. I think a lot of other people look at coach and quarterback. And Derek Carr and Dennis Allen are not lighting any fires under anybody. They're a popular team to pick to fail. I mean, where's the Bears on this list? The Bears are 20th because they drafted Caleb Williams. The Bears have been worse than the Saints for a decade.
Yeah.
And what did the Bears do to move 7 spots higher? They drafted Caleb Williams. It's more fun. Buccaneers 18th. Colts 19th. Seahawks 21st. Vikings 22nd. Cardinals 23rd. Yeah. Raiders 24th. I'm down on the Saints too. Like I'm wavering between 7 and 8 wins. But why do the Buccaneers, the Colts, the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers after they got rid of their entire team, the Titans? I have no idea why everyone is just automatically the Saints just strike everyone as an older team and everyone's like, well, it's easy to put them down. I think they're still in that, same 16 to 24 group as all these other teams.
Yeah, that's a fair play. Like, I'd have them ahead of the Raiders, right?
Yeah. What Raiders, Cardinals? Like, what are Kyler's exciting.
No, I put the Cardinals ahead. I'm in on their offense. I like their offense. I'm in on it.
Yeah.
Feels like they got to man. He played great down the stretch last year too.
If you're doing fantasy football tiers, though, the Saints are in a tier that starts with the Steelers at 16.
No, I agree with that. A lot of the people I listen to, same place, like Steve and Sam, I listened to their podcast. They had their NFC South preview the other day, and their take was kind of, okay, like maybe they won't be great, but there's probably too much talent for them to be like really bad. Like, so they kind of felt like the floor was around where it was last year. That's kind of how we generally feel.
Yep.
Like there's a moving target on that, but I don't think the bottom falls out on it. Greg Rosenthal, like it kind of felt like he had a similar take on it. Like nobody thinks they're exciting, but there's a realization of like, yeah, there's probably this. There's a level on the floor, and that's just generally how I feel, and it could absolutely end up being wrong. I'm not willing to stake a high sum of money on like a loss prediction, but I just don't see it being 4 wins or something if they don't have like massive injury at a key spot.
Steelers at 16 is kind of wild. But I also think you sometimes like your darlings and you want to move them up, and the Saints are an easy team to move down to make way for someone you want to move up. Because the Saints are not a rising team. We all agree with that. The Saints don't have an arrow pointing up right now.
If someone put them at 27 and they said, I got them at 27 because I don't think they're going to be able to block, I'd be able to understand that analysis. Yeah. If they're at 27 because you're like, I don't like coach, I don't like quarterback. Like, okay, but like that's fine. But there's a lot of stuff here that should have them. I don't know. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. What's that? 6 from the bottom. Who was the 6th worst team? Who picked 6 last year?
Giants had the 5th pick. What was Malik Neighbors, the 6th pick? New York Giants?
He went to the Giants. I don't
6th pick was, it was the Giants. What was the Giants' record last year?
bad. One thing that I'm looking at that stands out to me is I don't know if you would really consider Derek Carr in this mix of it, but there's a lot of teams on here with bridge quarterbacks. Minnesota, they have a bridge quarterback. Yeah, they got
McCarthy.
McCarthy in the building, but he's not going to play this year. I mean, Geno Smith, I would put him in the bridge quarterback category. Even Pittsburgh. I mean, you got Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Justin Fields used to be a starter. We don't know what he can be long term. I like the potential there, but those are bridge quarterbacks, and you're putting the Saints with arguably one of the higher tier bridge quarterbacks at the bottom of the list. I just don't see it.
Falcons are like the Bears. Falcons and Bears are two teams who've been anointed prematurely to me. Like, I'm going to pick the Falcons to win the NFC South too, but I don't make any power rankings that doesn't have the Falcons, Saints, and Buccaneers all within one or two spots of each other. Having Falcons 17, Bucks 18, Saints 27 is wild to me.
All these people.
Giants for 6-11. It's not outrageous. 6 wins isn't outrageous. Like it's
no,
not.
It's not outrageous. The other thing about the Saints is how perilous they are. There's injuries that could really derail this team, but that's probably true of a lot of teams in that same tier.
Yeah, quick. They could do it could go south quick, real fast. But now it's time for our Martin Wine.
Is that expression based on the NFC South? When people say it could go south, do they mean like it could go NFC South-ish?
There's been like in the last 10 years, there's been a lot of years where the NFC South has been like comically bad. Like a lot of years.
The crazy thing is, like 3 of the teams ended up in the Super Bowl. So it's like kind of wild.
Yeah,
it's kind of wild. It's really wild when you think about it. But now it's time for the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel-select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's so much more than just wine. Today's question is, what's the number one thing you guys are wanting to see in the Panthers game?
We've been talking about it. Alvin Kamara usage, Taysom Hill usage, Chris Olave usage, Rashid Shaheed usage.
Number one thing I want to see.
I want to see Clint Kubiak's offense get us excited that we're going to see something new and different and creative and successful.
Blocking. That's it.
Well, then you're going to be disappointed.
That's it. That's what I want to see, though. What do I want to see? I want to see blocking. You have to block. You have to block. Or make me believe that you can get away with not blocking, but do something to
I picked that second part. I picked that second part.
Yeah, create
Show
the illusion.
me that you can mask your inability to block.
Make an illusion. Whatever it is, block.
I'm hopping on the other side. I want to see you uncourt Chase Young. I want to see what he could do.
Fair.
See what he could do. See if he could wreck shop. I mean, Bryce Young, he's going to be back there. We're going to see how he's developed from last year. But I think that's come on, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about all of it. Honestly, though, I mean, the list is just. I'm excited about all of it. But number one on that list, you block. I feel better about week 2. I don't feel better about the rest of the season, but I feel better about week 2.
And I say you mask your inability to block because if you're counting on good blocking,
whatever it is. Hey, if you're throwing the ball in 1.3 seconds so that we believe whoever's standing in for Tron Armstead in 2018 is, oh, wow, they can do whatever. Like, whatever you got to do. Yeah. Oh, wow. How do you guys do this? Well, we don't hold the ball at all. Like,
I'll take that.
That's real. Well, now this will really do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. We appreciate y'all for stopping in today. If you're already in here, stick around because overtime is next. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe before week 1 because it's time. It's time to do it. It's time to do it. Catch you next time.